Hello, everybody. I'm Shelley Smith, and I'm here with Pam. Do you want to be called Pam or Pamela?
You can call me Pam.
Pam Scott.
Whichever.
All right.
Pam I am.
Pam I am. And we have a special guest today. We're very happy to have Brandon Hancock, who was an All-American at USC. Were you captain too?
I was an honorary team captain during playing Fresno State, because of the hometown, right?
Right.
California Rednecks had to give me a little bit of love there. But yeah, I was just, kind of, we're here, we're sitting together, and it's funny because, Reggie's getting his come up.
Oh, what did you think
that's
about that
right.
when you heard about it?
It's a long time coming. I thought it was a joke from the beginning. I mean, it's interesting because back when we were playing together, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was a lowly underling, if you will, compared
No,
to
you weren't.
Wendell, to Leinart and stuff. You mean to tell me that Vince Young, these other schools, I mean, it was all happening everywhere.
Oh, of course.
And I'm just glad. I think that the NCAA or the Heisman Trust kind of got a little wiggle room out, because now the whole landscape of college football has changed.
It has.
And
It's
you get
completely
celebrated
different.
and rewarded
Yes.
for your likeness, and you see how much.
You could be a millionaire now, Brandon.
Well, that's why Juju will stay in school next year. I talked to the guy who pays her NIL bills. He's like, she'll make double the money,
Right.
$4 million, versus she goes to WNBA, some crappy team. She's in LA, she's marketable, she'll stay.
Right.
Conversely, I do think it's gonna, the tectonic plates of collegiate football are gonna be altered in a big way because they're gonna follow the dough, right? So, Oregon, for example, Phil Knight money. If you're gonna be recruited and be a starter, you're going to get $250K, boom, right off the top.
Right.
Whether you're proven or not. It is what it is. Signing bonus, bam. We're not competing with that right now. And I think USC is a place where we are in an environment where there's so much going on. We're not Lincoln, Nebraska. We're not Tuscaloosa.
Oh, what's wrong with Lincoln, Nebraska? That's where I went to
love that.
school.
I like corn. Take it easy. But I'm just saying, there's a lot of things to do in this town. You have concerts. You have.
But why did you pick out Lincoln, Nebraska?
I was just trying to go. Well,
I
I
got
grew
a
up
lot
in Fresno, so
Well, I got in a lot of trouble in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Maybe that's why.
Anyway, we're here today to talk about one of our favorite people who passed away a year ago, almost exactly. Today is his birthday, Pops' birthday,
His 75th birthday.
75.
Fantastic.
Yay!
Yay!
We miss him.
Funny
We
how the
miss
world
him.
works. Huh? It brings us all around.
Yeah.
Yes.
Celebrate this beautiful man.
So tell us, we know how we know Pops, but how do you know Pops? How did you develop such a great friendship with him?
There were people that come and go, and there's still, that's the way it is. When you are shelled off to a college, your mom and dad kiss you goodbye and say, "Hey, we trust your coaching staff. These are going to be your new parents." For example, like you were like my media mom, right? You could trust on people that are your beat writers and this and that you can always go to that can protect you and help you. And more often than not, there's going to be some figure within the program. Because, if it's your coach, you're going to have a good dad, bad dad, you fear people, they're your friend. Pops he was a constant. He's a nucleus. He's the guy, hey, you could wash clothes, you could do this, but he was he was immersed in everybody's life. He really cared. He wanted to sit down and listen and took the time to be heartfelt and share whatever wisdom he had. And he's the guy that when people had a bad day, you go to and say, "Man, like he was a therapist. He was everything.
Yes,
He's
he
a
was.
friend. He was a father figure." I'll be honest with you. A lot of guys these days, when you come from broken homes and stuff, they don't ever have a father. From disenfranchised community. He was the guy that you could always count on.
Right.
Always. There's guys like Tino that are still around, but this dude had a heart. He impacted a lot of folks. It didn't matter whether you were a starter or you were, a
Yes.
backup. It didn't matter who you were. If you were a good person, he would help cultivate and excel, force multiply your greatness.
Right.
And so that's what, I can't remember the day I met him, but he just kind of slipped in, and all of a sudden, that beautiful smile, the soft handshake, warm hugs, always confidence. Let's dissect this. Let's think about how we can turn a negative into a positive. He's just a ray of sunshine. Always has been, and a lot of guys gravitate to that because it's a rough game, right? You play football. It's not all rainbows and butterflies.
No, it isn't.
People, they beat you down, to test your toughness, your fortitude. It's a dude to say, hey, you know what? I heard all that bullshit. I heard it all. You know, like, listen, let me pull you over here, man. Get it together. You know, that whatever. He's just testing you. Here's why he's doing that. Here's how you respond. Don't talk about it. Be about it. I'm here to help you. What can I do for you? Blah, 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 blah. Right?
Right.
Special man.
Yeah, he was. What about the shoes? Tell us about the shoes. Pam has them in her trunk of her car. You brought them to the funeral or the whatever it was. Not a funeral, but
It was a celebration of life.
Yeah, it was.
And I didn't have much else to do or say, but, you know, he was a meticulous guy. He minded his P's and Q's. He was very buttoned up. He wanted you know, the old saying, you know, you look good, you feel good, you play good. You can be free. And, you know, the man was always finely dressed, and he always told me, man, because, you know, I came from Fresno, it's, you know, redneck country. It's different, but, you know, I had some stylish stuff.
I wouldn't
and
tell
always
a lot
put
of
things
people.
like, you know what, you got to, you notice. Hey,
Right.
the stitching on that shirt is nice. It's attention to detail. Those shoes, like, those are nice shoes, man. Meslon. I promised him one day, I said, man, you know, when life goes by and stuff, like, what's your size? I'll get you some of those at some point. And, you know, it's stuff you fall in love, you get married, you have a family, you come back and show up, it's not the same thing. And that was kind of my promise. And what made it special to me, because I wore those things out.
I know there are holes in the bottoms, in the sole. Holes in the soles.
Because, you know, the guy, his energy makes you want to dance. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel positive. And so that was just kind of my thing. I said, that's what I remembered about him. He was always, you know what, buddy? You're looking good today. Never a negative comment. Nothing. Always uplifting, spiritual, supportive. And we just don't have a lot these days in the world. You know?
I know.
It's a rare commodity to come by. And I miss it. I miss it a lot because, you know, you can work remotely, you can be in an office, and you don't have anybody who's just always patting you on the back saying, you know, keep it going, keep it rolling.
What did Pop say about Brandon?
Oh, you know what? Pops, and this is not a cop-out, this is just the truth. He seldom ever came home and had anything negative to say about the kids. It was always good. He loved Brandon as he loved all the other kids. I mean, we weren't fortunate enough to have kids, and he would come home and say positive things. I remember when you came on board, Pops was very much so. He came home one day and he told me about how he had encouraged you in the locker room, and that he goes, sweetie, you know, this is all our kids need. They just need somebody. Even if they don't make it to be recruited, you know, because that was most people's goals, to be recruited professionally in the NFL or the NBA or whatever sports that was led on to professional career. He just said this is all they need is a little encouragement, and there's good in every person. And he would get upset with me because sometimes I get pissed at people and I would say some things, even from the opponents, even from the you know, the other schools. He would say, you know what, sweetie, they're good, and there's good in all of them. They lack someone to help bring that out. Right. That was always the case with him. Now, some of them he wanted to take and beat the hell out of them sometimes. Like,
well, of course.
a really good turn over my knee and you need your butt kicked because you can do that.
They have a tough love sometimes.
But he used to say Brandon was a ladies' woman. He used to say Brandon liked the girls.
Well, we knew that. She was telling me how you used to have girls up in the rooms all the time.
When we were in Century City. I remember telling you this. I used to tell. I remember one day we were doing a Rose Bowl, and we were at the Intercontinental. And I can remember this like today. And Pops and I were on the same floor that you guys were on for some reason.
Well, why'd you do that?
I know. And I came out and I said, there better not be anyone here, any girls in these rooms tonight. Because what little did people know, Pops used to tell me, go, sweetie, you know what they do, the girls do? They come here and they book their rooms here at the hotel so they could come hang out with the guys.
Oh.
And he said, and Brandon and his pack, it was one other person, well, many other persons.
Who'd you hang out with?
He was always sneaking some gal up to his room.
I spent a long period of time. I had Sonny Bird at one point.
Right.
I was like 18. He was 25.
Oh my gosh.
You know, he's a super senior, right?
Yeah.
I mean, gosh. And look, I'm getting picked. Look at we're in a place in time which was pretty unique, right? You know, you had a beautiful looking man, you know, right? Liner and Paris Hilton, Reggie and Pam, like the whole Hollywood scene. It was a show.
It was.
Because there was no hockey, didn't move the needle. Angels, Dodgers, Shaq got shipped off. Forget it. Like it was what it was supposed to be, and
you had fun.
you have to at that point. You know, and I try to tell, you know, I have younger stepsons now. It's, you know, always be loyal. I've never been married before.
You're married now?
Engaged.
Engaged?
There you go.
Ooh,
Wow.
that's moving in the right direction. That's right.
You know, you got to get it out of your system, and you got to be a kid. You got to. That's, you know, if you remember when I came out of high school, you know, I was valedictorian.
And you came
I was
early.
a robot. I was just this, and until I got injured, had a redshirt season. It was all just getting straight A's, 3.97 GPA, 5 beta kappa, boom, 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 boom.
Debate team?
Debate team, exactly. All that stuff, you know. I never had a chance to really. Even my father was like, "Dude, you gotta stop and enjoy all of this," because everybody else is. Like I am. Your mom. Everybody's having a good time, and like you're so locked in. Like you gotta absorb it a little bit. And so when I got hurt, it was the first time I kind of got to like understand the experience, and it makes you a whole person. So circling back to Pops, you know, when you go to the point of going to college, in my opinion, you know, you're going to get plopped into a diverse situation. The person next to you might be your dentist one day. They could build your house. They could be your lawyer.
True. Especially at USC.
Damn right. It's all about relationships. Not always what you know is who you know.
Yes.
And I loved it that you get stress tested a little bit. And nowadays, it's really tough to just skate your way through things. You can't sit in the back with your hoodie on, play video games, just, you know, have someone get you through, right? I used to love, my favorite class was like gender studies, and I was the only guy in there.
Really?
Just getting peppered by these feminists with hairy pits. They hated me. As Big Adonis comes in, all arrogant, they're like, you know, they secretly wanted to smack, you know, they just were bitter. And when you can kind of look eye to eye and break it down, debate, right? You deconstruct the argument and say, you know, we all learn from this. And that professor who hated me at the beginning, maybe to this day, I don't know if she's still there or not, she would take my paper and say, this is how you write a paper. She'd come to my shows at ESPN every time with her, you know, boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. So that guy, you know, moved the needle a little bit. And so that's what, you know, you got to maximize with your time in these places. Because once you get into another sect or whatever, it's all cookie cutter customary. It's the same old thing. And you got to learn, you got to live, you got to grow. So that's what Pops did. You know, be open-minded. You never felt judged, challenged, whatever. He just had a really unique knack for understanding what people needed to hear to fulfill them. Right?
Yes.
And we all need that. If it's a dog, if it's a wife or a child, you know, there's just folks that when you're having a bad day, like he was so receptive to, you know, finding the button that needed to be pushed to make you turn a negative into a positive.
I was sharing with Shelley earlier. I said, you know, it's so interesting. I said, because like Stefan's mom, Kim, I didn't know her like forever. And she and Pops developed a really good relationship. And I'm kind of swinging the pendulum here by saying he was so devoted to what he felt he had been sent to USC to do. His title was not befitting of what his job was. And he, and I'm saying
I didn't know what his title was. He was life coach. He was just,
exactly. And
go-to guy. Boom, on the card.
I was Shelley and I talking
Moonlighting is, a guy that, you know, was at practice. No, he was just a dude that was an emotional resource.
Yes, he was.
A rock to lean on. You know, that's why when, you know, we had the celebration, how so many people came from all these different generations, right? To come, Orgeron showed up. I mean, this is a special man. You know, he quiet, soft-spoken, but, you know, made a lot of waves in the right way for folks. And, it's, you know, you can't buy respect. You can't, you know, yearn for it. You have to earn it. And he just always had that from everyone. He
did. He was a very special person. And in that, and I'm so happy to hear that because me as being a wife, I think people sometimes could think that I'm being partial. Like today, I started a stretch. I'm going over to this studio and I get stretched. And today was my first day, and the young man that I was talking to, of course, no matter what conversation I end up in, I always end up talking about my sweetie.
You have to.
Pops. And I was sharing with him today, it's his birthday, and he was like so excited, and the young man was, and I told him, he had passed away. And all the things that I felt in my heart about to describe who he was or still is, because he still lives on in our hearts. I'm hearing coming from you, and that's a blessing because, me being the wife, as I was just saying, I could be very partial, as they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Well, in this case, the facts are in the eye of the beholder, and I'm grateful to have you come and share your thoughts and your heart with Pops, because he would be so very excited. I know it would bring him to tears because we used to share things. Sometimes I was telling Shelley the last episode, I think, that the phone wouldn't ring that week, and I could tell that Pops would be like, oh, he wouldn't say it to me because in the sense he was very prideful, he didn't want to share that. But then the phone would start ringing, and he'd get kids calling, oh, Pops, I was thinking about you, or old coach would call, and not just on that level. It didn't matter. What's the lady name that works in the cafeteria? I can't think of her name. She was funny, actually. I can't think of her name right now, but Pops had a relationship with her also, and she would call and check on Pops, and vice versa. So when saying all that, I think that what we're doing right now, especially in light of the corporate, the current atmosphere that we're living through right now, it's good to bring out positive, good things that people can be about a person, so that person can feel freely to be able to go forth.
What do you remember about him on the field? What would he do? Would he come up to you? Would he talk to you?
Truth be told, when I was on the field, I was locked in. There's guys like Tino that run around. You smash somebody, your bolt pop off your helmet. They give you sunflower seeds when you're hurt and gum. But Pops wasn't a field guy. He wasn't the guy that was, up in your stuff. I honestly don't remember much about him inside the gridiron. What I remember him most for was walking down that tunnel, and then when the day was done, you put in your blood, sweat, and tears, your effort, you're beat, you're tired, you're exhausted, and you had a friendly face to just, you drop your clip off, and he's right there. Hey man, what's up? After dinner, you come out, you're studying at study hall. The guy was there all the time, morning, noon, night, and available. Because we all have, as a student athlete, you have to compartmentalize. You have your day workouts in the morning, you have class, got this, but at any point in time, man, like whether you're doing 6 a.m. workouts or not, like he's there. He wasn't a guy, it wasn't about football to him. It was about life. It was about mentoring. It was about men. It was about cultivating good habits and positive energy and being a role model to people.
Right. And his nickname, Pops, was so appropriate.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, what else do you want to call him?
He didn't self-attribute that. I mean, people were just like, he's like my father figure.
Yeah.
And my dad was very involved. He came to all my games and practices, but, this is a guy that was there for anything, anytime, for anybody. Didn't matter, he had his number, and he wouldn't judge you. He'd listen. He'd just help you find a solution and keep you on the right path.
Yeah, I don't remember your dad, but I remember Pops because I met him so early on, and we talked about this before, but when Stefan dropped the weight on his neck, Pops was the one who called me and said, you need to get down here. You need to get to the hospital. Because
everybody that was in that locker room was his child. They're his sons. That's what he thought about. Like, he would die for all of us. He was that kind of guy. Those were his children.
You're absolutely correct. I did that intentionally.
What are you going to do? Open the champagne?
The thing was beeping.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I took that off so
okay.
we wouldn't be interrupted.
Yeah, it's okay.
But anyway, that was during that time. during the situation with Stephon, he went above and not above and beyond. That's what he should have done. I don't want to say that, but it's being a human being, because quite often we take on the role of our job instead of who we are, and he took on who he was. Yeah.
What did he do for other people, did you see? I mean, he was just always there?
It wasn't about, look at nowadays it's so weird to be able to kind of insert yourself. He had, there was a little room, and you go back there, hey, I tore my glove, I need a new glove, but then you find yourself sitting there for an hour, and it was not men, women, water polo, football, whatever. It was just when people were downtrodden, had a rough day, or whatever it may be, he would want to figure out, how can we figure this out? Like we've all been there, we've all done that. It's about fortifying a positive attitude, and it's just a gift. It was a gift to people. So, in that culture where it's alpha masculinity and having kindness and empathy is considered weakness, you have to have the balance, right? You have people that if you mess up, they're going to choke slam you through a wall. You get dog cussed or whatnot. But men in today's age, like we're humans too, we need to have feelings, and you need to not have angry feelings all the time, and like vengeance and all this kind of stuff, which football breeds a lot of. They always say, the starting lineup's etched in sand, never stone. So there's every day is a new day. You're fighting, you're clawing, you're scratching. And sadly, a lot of the ways that coaches motivate is through negative reinforcement to piss you off, to make you say, I'll prove you wrong. There's a lot of guys that say, good job, do that again. They make you want to make them proud. Pops was a guy who was just like, you fall back on it, and good, bad, or ugly, he'd just give you the truth.
Yeah, he was rare like that.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. We don't see enough of that anymore.
Yeah.
But we should. And maybe this will help. Maybe these podcasts will help.
There's a lot of people out there, I was with Rossi last week. Look at the Ross with the wedding. There's a lot of weddings.
Did Ross get married?
No, I'm so sorry. But I'm just saying there's a lot of people that have been impacted profoundly by this man, and, the lessons you care about. People have divorces, there's deaths, there's all kinds of stuff that happens in life, and just to have someone that you can go to for a soft landing that's going to understand, going to help, going to be kind and inspirational. He was always that guy.
Did he know you had worn holes in his shoes?
I don't know, because I wore those holes way after I left college. But I kept wearing those shoes because they were my favorite pair. Because he said, those are good on you, man. Yeah. So I wore them to every wedding. I danced through them a lot, and I put them to good use. So that's what was so impactful to me, because it's just, you can always attach a tangible item to a memory or
yeah,
whatnot.
that's very true.
I just said, this dude would be proud of me. Because he said
I'm sure he
Brandon,
is.
Listen, just be happy, be yourself, have no regrets. Sing, laugh, shine, play drums, do whatever you want to do, just whatever makes you happy. And dancing makes me happy. And those were the shoes that I remember him saying were his favorite, so I did it.
Well, it was so cool when you brought him up to the stage when we got to see him.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Did you? You knew.
Well, actually, you know what? I probably didn't, because Pops was always, after a while, it was just like, whatever. He was always going in the closet, pulling down, pulling out something for someone. He loved to dress. As a matter of fact, I've been looking at some of his shoes, and I gave him some to my nephew, and oh my God, he had so many pairs of shoes he'd never worn, beautiful things. But he was that kind of person. I was sharing with Shelley, one of his staff members. I don't think we recorded this on one of the other episodes. One of his staff members was in dire straits of some money because their home was going to be foreclosed on. And Pops took his entire bonus. I won't mention that person's name, but he took his entire, I'll tell you guys after we finish recording. He took his entire bonus and was able to catch that person's mortgage, bring it current to keep them from being foreclosed on. And there were several of the coaches who were like they may have been grad assistants. During Christmas, couldn't afford to buy toys for their kids. And Pops took money. He'd call me up. I'm like, yes, sweetie. So-and-so can't afford to buy toys for their kids this year. I'm going to go over to the credit union.
Wow.
Selfless man, you know.
Yeah,
Again,
he was.
led by example. Give you the shirt off his back, you know.
So are you going to continue that? Are you going to continue leading by example?
Always will, 100%. You know, now in my stage of life, I have stepkids. You know, they are Notre Dame. My stepdaughter just got into Notre Dame, which is tough for me.
Oh, yeah.
Her dad played there, so it's always been a little bit of a contention. But you know, you got to be happy for people in life.
Right.
You know, hard work deserves good rewards, and
Yes,
you know,
it
the
does.
biggest thing is how do you comport yourself? How do you carry? You know, you can be all this on paper, but how do you make people feel? Are you reliable? Are you loyal? When people talk about you and you're not there, do they laugh? Do they begrudge you? I would like to think that, you know, all my teammates, they know that they call me and they're in trouble, boom, it's, you know, I'm there. I'm right
That's
on it.
right.
It's happening. You got a football camp, legal stuff, you need advice for this or that, I'll find the people. And so, you know, happiness for me has always been similar to Pop's. You know, what can I do to make others happy? Because there's a contention in philosophy. It's, you know, if you're being is there such thing as selflessness? Because if you're doing something for someone else and it makes you happy, isn't that selfish, right? But some people are givers and some people are, they want to use and deride people and put people down to make them feel elevated and good. And I just hope, like today, popping by here just, you know, for 35 minutes to say what's
this
up.
has been a blessing.
You know,
Pops would just be, oh my God, I know he's looking down from heaven, and he is so thrilled because he has two of his favorite persons here with us today. And as my girlfriend said at the service, he made everyone special. Everybody was that person that thought they were the only one. And that's a blessing. Even with me, I was sharing with Shelley, I never mind sharing Pops. It was never, ever an issue with me having to share him.
You can't contain that. I mean, it's for the universe, it's for the cosmos, for the world. You know,
yes.
You can't be selfish about that. You know, certain people are extroverts, introverts. They have their nuances of what they're good at and whatnot. But you know, I've always thought, you know, I'm a jester, right? You talk about debate team, speaking, whatever. Yes. You know, when you're on, you're on. You know, I've done a bunch of weddings, I've done a bunch of funerals. I just feel like I have a gift to express and give and try to make people laugh, cry, and emote. And it's not for everybody, but to me, that's what moves the needle. It makes people remember you. It makes people care about you.
Yes.
And that's what he did. He was way more soft-spoken than I was. You know, he was a fairly, you know, humble, quiet. But, you know, that's the thing with him. When he'd say something important, you listen. Because it wasn't just nonstop yelling, barking. It's like, it mattered.
It was profound.
It was deep and it was meaningful. It was authentic and genuine.
Yes.
And you don't have a lot of that anymore. Right?
Nope.
No, I think you're right. So who are you marrying?
Her name's Kristen. I've known her for 10 years now.
Was she one of the ones up in the hotel rooms?
No, we can't air that. Yeah, I was a young man at the time.
He's a young man.
We'll take that out.
No, ironically, I actually met through football. You know, football's a weird thing. People in life identify with what they're recognized for. You know, no one knows that I'm a really fantastic, you know, accomplished musician. You know, I didn't play drums in college, but if I go to the marching band, I'd get on there and rock. It wasn't the cool thing to do.
Oh, wow.
You know, no one celebrates you being
know
Phi Beta Kappa. You know, or you know, what mattered and why I played football. You know, honestly, I didn't love it that much because you get hurt, you get beat down. It's it's just because my family enjoyed it. It paid for school, and you know, I had an opportunity to come back and play at USC another year. I said, no, I'm out. I could have gone to the combine, would have crushed it there. I said, no, I'm done. Went to TV, media, did that for a little bit, and I got kind of tired of the same old rat race, and, you know, there's other horizons out there. So, and as life goes, you know, a lot of your friends, they mature. They realize that there's a greater purpose. They find someone that settles them. They have kids. It's not about you anymore. It's not about, look at me, you're the limelight guy, blah, 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 right? That's about giving it to other people. And then when you find someone that kind of meets you at the right place at the right time, that's selfless in that regard too, you know, 2 + 2 can make 5.
See, that was what you just said, just really brought back to me one of the things that Pops used to stress. Son, everyone is not going to get drafted. If it was a young lady, a track member, or you know, girls basketball. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do with your life afterwards? this is where we need to be going. And see, this is important because look at you. You've done well for yourself. You didn't go to the NFL. You chose a path in a career or something that gave you fulfillment outside of college football.
100%.
And which is important, because some people just go down. You see, they don't do very much after college football if they aren't drafted or.
It's fairly rare to have someone like I was a second round draft pick my junior year, came back and played. If I had wanted to choose that path, I said, it gives you the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm not tethered to this life.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because it's not fun. God, you talk to football players like, man, they don't. It's not enjoyable. What's enjoyable are the victories when you catch a 4th and 1 to go ahead touchdown to win a game, which I've done.
Right.
And those are the moments. So you can't really recreate that unless you're an open heart surgeon. You save a life or you're a criminal defense attorney. So those are the moments that people care about and they watch. But at the end of the day, all the stuff between those 60 minutes on a Saturday or Sunday, it's terrible. I mean, for most, no one seems to enjoy that.
Yes.
And had I not invested so much time into my education, relationships, I would have gone NFL. I probably would have played for a year, 2 tops. I had 5 knee surgeries and torn pec. I mean, I would have fallen apart. It would have lasted like this. And for me, it's like you have the freedom and the ability to say, I don't need that anymore. It was a launch pad for me to do what I wanted, but I run my own shop now.
Yeah.
That's why you go to school. That's why you go to college. So you can be your own boss. You can make your own moves.
Yep, this is true.
Right?
Yeah, you had knee problems. That's why you stopped playing football, right?
I had 5 knee surgeries, torn pec, wrist, screws in my ankle. I broke my C7 in the Rose Bowl game against Texas. I mean, I was beat up.
When did you break your C7 against Texas?
It was during the game. I didn't know. But, later on, I had a lump and I couldn't turn my head. And like, yeah, dude. One of the doctors said your vertebral spine was cracked in half. And
my gosh.
Spinal cord. So you want to keep doing this?
Oh, jeez.
I said,
no.
I'd like to be able to go ski with my kids or play hoops, when I'm now 40.
Right.
I feel like I look and feel great now.
You
But
do.
keep that up, it'll wear on you. And, thank God I don't have arthritis and stuff yet. There's new advancements in medicine, but it takes you through the ringer. And, I've had a couple friends take their own lives, right?
Yeah.
Kevin Elson, we've had some guys.
Oh, God, yes.
And you see it happen. Like, you don't know when that's going to add up and hit. And back in the day, there was full pad practice. It was 11 on 11.
Nobody knew CTE. Nobody knew any of this stuff.
Yeah, they legislate a lot of that violence out of tackling now. But, I mean, we used to go hard all the time.
Yeah.
And the idea was, if you're playing against Sean Cody and Clay Matthews and Lofa Tatupu and Keith Rivers and, Kichu Daisy, but when you get to your opponent on Saturday, they're nothing. These are the best.
Was that what made you guys so good? Was because you
100%.
practiced so hard?
Iron sharpened iron.
You know what? Pops used to say that.
He did?
Oh, he did recently before he passed.
It was a cakewalk every week.
He did. He said, sweetie, and this is just what he would say. Sorry, I'm not saying this to offend anyone, but he would say that. He said, sweetie, Pete had the best thing going when he had these kids out there practicing against each other. Mm-hmm. He did. And
we were so deep in recruiting. Look at me. All 3 of my backups played in the NFL, right? Stanley Avili, Ryan Paldrell, Kaden Kerman. It's like we were so deep because we had such an awesome recruiting machine. Like if someone went down, I had always say, grab the dead body, pick up the musket, and keep on marching. And you wouldn't even,
Well, he was right. That was true.
That's it.
That is so true. Oh my God, it's funny you should say that. When we lost at the Rose Bowl, I was just, against Texas.
See, that's crazy because I walked up the field saying this is the greatest game I've ever been in.
It was.
We lost. I already won a couple.
Right.
So this is the baddest environment, moment, and I'm just happy to be here. And my neck was broken. I didn't even know at the time, but I was like, this is some cool shit.
Your neck was broken.
I mean it. And, maybe, not everybody can say that, but we built something so special. So back to Pops, when you're that guy, I remember, had an ACL, battled back, became a starter, and then all of a sudden you take an outside step and you pop it again. And you throw your shit down and you're like, I'm crying. And you're like, it's over. I don't want to do it. Like he was the guy that would be there saying, I feel you, I got you, I get it. Mm-hmm.
That was him. That was definitely him. I feel you. I got you. I get it.
I just got a phone call from one of the kids who was a receiver, who was a star receiver. It hasn't been a month yet, and he's still trying to do it. He's still trying to do it in the NFL. It was one of the last classes where Pops was there. And I said, son, this is what Pops would say. Son, if you're not having fun, it's time to give it up.
That's it.
And he said, you know what? He calls me Mrs. Pops. Mrs. Pops.
Mrs. Pops. Yeah.
You are absolutely correct. That's exactly what Pops would say to me. Because he was like right there. He said, I really need to talk to Pops.
That's amazing that he has this kind of legacy at a school at USC, which you think of as big commercial money, money school, and yet there he is, taking care of everybody.
Yeah.
He did.
It is a factory, but, if you're going to get thrown through the meat grinder, you need to have some soft, touch points to make you, like you said, ask yourself the question, am I still having fun doing this? Because I'm being used. Yeah. Remember, when I was there, I was on national sitcoms. I had to give every check to the school, right? I was on Scrubs and bought a magazine.
Because you had no choice, right?
Yeah, I couldn't benefit. Yeah, that's because you're a football player. Meanwhile, anybody who played a saxophone in the marching band, somebody from Pasadena say, hey, I got a jazz club, I'll give you $3,000, come up here and play for me. Who cares? But because you're a football player, you have to give all that money. If I want to go speak at Fellowship of Christian Athletes on a Sunday, I had to pay for my gas and my burger. Right?
Right.
Wow.
Nuts. So
not anymore, though.
Full circle.
Not anymore, right? It's good now. And you're right about Juju and the rest of the athletes at USC now. They're in a different time, in a different place.
Yeah.
And I hope they're happy. I hope they're happy doing this.
It's supposed to be fun.
It is.
It is supposed to be fun.
I mean, look, we won 34-something games in a row. We're on top of the world. It was riding high. Despite all of that, I had fun in moments, but a lot of it was tough. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get to be the kid. I had to carry the weight of my family and you unify. My parents were divorced and sister estrangement, but they all show up for football. So that's like the thing.
They would.
Together. I had other interests, other things I'd like to do.
Yeah.
But this is what got it moving and made people fill 90,000 seats in the Coliseum. It's not playing the saxophone. It's not doing a science project. It's gladiators beating the shit out of each other.
There was a magnet that brought everyone together, and it does take its toll.
Yeah.
So, what's the biggest lesson you learned from Pops? I mean, you just talked about a million of them, but let's narrow it down to one.
Right, again, at the end of the day, you got to be colorblind. It's interesting because I'm a white guy that was in the running back room, right? There's all kinds of bias and stuff, and just you have to see people for who they are, be a human, be understanding, be encouraging, and he was the guy would keep you on an even keel because you can't operate at your full capacity if you're in your car, if you're RPM to 8,000 or whatever, redlining it, or you're skidding around. You have to be in the right zone. And he was always the kind of guy that would say, dude, don't take things too seriously, don't take them not too seriously, like find the balance, and just at the end of the day, do it by example. Mm-hmm. Talk with your actions. Don't bitch about things. Don't complain. Let's find a way to solve this, and then put in the work and do it. And I'm here to help you.
How do we? Yeah. How do we honor his legacy?
What we're doing right now. I think we do. We take a picture. Well, I'm not a big Instagram guy, but
no.
I'll
not when I look like this.
Well, it doesn't matter. Honoring his legacy is sitting around a conversation.
Right.
There's a lot of the people and.
That's why we decided to do this.
Yeah.
Do the podcast. We were sitting there at the service, and she said, "Let's do this." And I said, "All right." And it took us a while to get organized, but I retired. That helps.
I know. Well, we all do at some point, and you're still great at what you do, and it's all positive energy. And look at the reason I went to USC instead of Stanford.
I know, and I love what you said.
Or Michigan. I could have gone anywhere. They always told you it's not a 4-year commitment; it's a forever commitment. It's a family commitment, and sometimes people question that. And it's guys like Pops that reinforce that. Look, it could be. Here we are. It's 2024. It's 20 years later. Mm-hmm. I'm saying
20 years later.
Yeah.
You did a podcast with a guy. I don't remember his name. Argo? No.
Pete Arbogast.
Was that Arbogast? No. This is someone else. He's a lawyer.
Okay.
And you said, USC had the better education than Stanford. And that made me laugh.
No, what I said was, I said 9 out of 10 women in California are beautiful. The 10th one goes to Stanford.
Right. That's something like that. Yeah.
Those lines,
Yeah. But it was classic.
USC's has better education in the real world, like social fun, right? You know,
Yeah, I
if I
know.
would have gone to Stanford, who knows? Would have been a biomechanist, or I've been a nerd and wouldn't have had as much fun. So
Right.
you look back at the end of the day, you're enriching relationships. I mean, we were 1 of 1. We were the best. And
You were.
There will never be an era in college football
No.
with the star power, the swag.
Not even Alabama. Not even Clemson. None of that.
8 in a row.
No.
If you're not in LA, and the paparazzi and the whole thing, it'll never. It was a creator of superstars, and we were the show.
You were.
We were an NFL team in college. It's cool. I mean, every single guy on offense and defense, I think every person that was a starter all played in the NFL. I mean, it was ridiculous. Forget about it.
And there were a lot of celebrities on the sidelines.
Always.
Always. I mean, who was the most famous person you saw on the sidelines? Where do you
At some
start?
point,
Yeah.
you start, who's famous anymore?
I know.
You look up to, you have idols in life, like, oh, there's Peyton Manning. Who cares? Like,
Yeah.
Carson Palmer's just as good as that guy.
Right.
Like, he used to be Joe Montana's there. Well, he's a little guy. You have Jerry Bruckheimer. You have Denzel Washington. You have, Clive Davis. You got, music. It didn't matter. But it became so commonplace. It's like, this is where people come to feel comfortable being amongst great people.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's what we did. And we got to get back there. Right? Because
Yes.
talk
we
is
do.
cheap. You got to put in the work.
Yes, you do. I must agree.